online tambayers. I am your host for tonight and I'll be substituting for Kate Vilas for now. So with that, thank you for joining us in this another interesting topic with QCafe, your weekly Wednesday online tambayan. So allow me to introduce our speaker for tonight. So, would you like to make use of your number assets to achieve your goals, reach your dreams, and fulfill your life's purpose? Our speaker for today will teach others to focus their way to success by working on their brain. He has spoken to international audience talking about preparing the brain for the long game. He was featured in several podcast shows and spreading the good news about the brain. He trained, inspired, and motivated listeners to take action. He believes that our beautiful brains, our number one asset, run the world. He's on a mission to empower others to eat, move, and think differently. So people may deliver their gifts to the world online or offline, and saving his students the 15 to 20-year learning curve. Our speaker for tonight is a licensed chemical engineer, an active member of the University of the Philippines Mountaineers, an active member of Morlave Toastmasters Club. He is also a certified brain fitness coach. But most of all, he is a husband, a loyal husband, and a father of two. Please welcome our speaker for tonight, my fellow Toastmaster, Paul Vargas. Let's give him a virtual round of applause.
Thank you, Anne. I am thinking that this is like a Toastmasters meeting, but thank you for that very, very generous introduction. So I'm here to challenge you to look into your brain. So I'm gonna make that big effort tonight. So I'm gonna have to get started. So welcome to Brain Shift to Mindset. And my topic for tonight is focus your way to success. And we will be beginning this training in exactly 1 minute and 30 seconds.
We bring you now from New Zealand all the way up to the Philippines, where my friend, Mr. Paul Vargas, will be.
Our brain is the most taken for granted organ in the body.
He trains, inspires, and motivates owners of brains. Owners of brains. That might be you, assuming you have. Let me check. Yep. I see.
I'm here to do justice to your.
I have a very technical background. I'm a chemical engineer.
6 feet high, head first to the ground, and I was shut down.
It was hell. And people said I couldn't do it. I allowed them too much, and I had negativity along the way. But you know what I learned is that with those things that I've gone through,
It motivates you to take action for your number one asset because it can ruin or run the world.
They can be more resilient, more energized, and more empowered.
I can take a complex process and make it simple.
I have some mentors to help me with the process.
And he has personally trained hundreds and prepared people for the long game of longevity.
Chronic dehydration shrinks our brain.
By the way, he saves his students 15 to 20 years off the learning curves before it is too late.
You need to break your patterns. You want to learn some new language.
That simple strategy, try it. It can make your brain a lot better.
So you can deliver your gift to the world online or offline.
So who will benefit today in this training? If you are in a transition or in a crossroad, uh, no matter in what stage of life you are now, maybe you are transitioning from a corporate life to a business life, or you are transitioning from a work from home to another type of setup, or maybe you're in an interview process where you are going to have that promotion, or you are going to transfer to another organization, or maybe you're a business owner or an entrepreneur or a solopreneur, or maybe you're a speaker, a trainer, a coach, or a marketer. If you fall on any of these categories, I'm sure you will benefit today. So I would like to share with my personal story. During the time when meetings are still on a face-to-face, face-to-face setup, so that was roughly more than a year ago. I usually have this monthly meeting with my team, and one of the observations that I had was almost all of them during the meeting. So it's a 3 hour meeting. All their cell phones are on the table. Not one is keeping their cell phones. Everyone, but with due respect to everyone, they put their phones on silent mode. But I just observed that from time to time they tend to look at their phones. And one, I observed one, he's holding his phone discreetly and sending some message to somebody. So the usual things that you see in a meeting place. Two things I would like to draw to from that story. Number one is, how I felt from that scenario, from that meeting is, I felt somehow bad. I felt bad. Maybe because I feel that they are not in full attention to what's happening to the meeting. And one thing I learned from that is, if that makes me feel bad, maybe I'm also making other people feel bad when they are talking to me and then I'm holding my cell phone. So as much as possible, I always try to make it a point to, keep my cell phone, put it in my pocket every time I am talking with somebody. And the next point I would like to share with you has something to do with this topic on focus. You see, we have become a very distracted race. As technology got better, our attentions got very little, concentration diminished, and it has been very challenging for us. There was a 2018 study, a report actually in the UK, that in that country, every 12 minutes, people tend to check their cell phones, their smartphones, their mobile phones, every 12 minutes. And that was 2018. I think now, where cell phones are more advanced, maybe that have developed, that have improved to maybe 10 minutes. And I'm thinking here in the Philippines, how much time do we do doing that? So, we were considered before as the texting capital, and maybe it's 8 minutes. And I would like to connect this statistics with another number. There was another study in the US, in the University of California, Irvine, that if you are get distracted, say if you got distracted for 30 seconds by checking maybe your phone to check something, it will take some time before you get back to that same original state of concentration. It will take you 23 minutes and 15 seconds. Add that to the 30 seconds you checking the phone, that means that is roughly 24 minutes. So do the math. It takes you twice as much time. So if you check the cell phones, if you check your smartphone every 12 minutes, it will take you twice as much time, 24 minutes, to get back to that same level of concentration. And that is, that's just an example. Smartphones. We have Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Mobile Legends, TikTok, name it. Those things distracts us. So why focus? Why I am I am very uh, I am really very engaged in, making people focus, because focus is a big rock solid door to our thinking. When we talk about thinking, we talk about learning, perception, problem solving, reasoning, and decision making. And our ability to think depends on our ability to focus. But you might say, well, yes, I am understanding what you're saying, but I've Paul, I've tried a number of trainings. I tried I attended some training to improve my focus. I even tried meditation. I even tried some focus enhancing pills, but it's not working. And I have a message for you. It is not your fault. And don't be too hard on yourself because maybe this guy can explain why. Edward Deming, I can relate to him because he is also a technical person, an engineer. He said 94% of failure is the result of the system, not the people. So don't blame yourself. Maybe because you don't have a system, not yet, to improve your focus. So to prove the point and to not bore you with all these things I'm talking about, I would like to engage you and check how you focus. So I would like to involve you in this next slide. So, well, you can do this mentally, or if you have a piece of paper, you can try it. But this is really a really simple arithmetic. So think of a number between 1 to 10. So for everyone who are listening there, um, just try to, let's try this one. Think of any number between 1 to 10. So if you already have that number, so that number in mind, multiply it by 9. Easy. This one is easier. Step 2. So so that number, you probably got a two-digit number. So add those two digits. So for example, if it's 12, that's 1 plus 2. That's going to be 3. Next, from that number, you got in number 2, subtract 5. So minus 5. Easy peasy. Number 4, from that number, find that corresponding letter in the alphabet. So that means 1 is A, 2 is B, and so on and so forth. Step 5, think of the first country, the first country that comes into mind with that letter. And step 6, look at the second letter in that spelling of that country. So that second letter, think of the first animal that you can think of with that letter, with that second letter. And 8, I would like you to imagine the texture and the color of that animal that you have in mind. So, um, if you would like, can you please pop on your answer to, well, if you're in Facebook, can you put it in the comments, or if you're in Zoom, can you put it in the chat? So, are you thinking of that gray elephant from Denmark? You know, I did this activity a number of times with people, and at least 80% of them will land on the same outcome. I did this for two things: to check your focus, number one, and secondly, to make a point that if there is a system, the outcome can be predictable. The outcome can be something like this, something that you can predict. But the question remains, are you struggling to stay focused? Do you feel like no matter how hard you try, you are still struggling? You know what? You're not alone. Here's one thing you need to know: staying focused or being out of focus is not the root cause of the problem. It is a symptom. Yes, it is a symptom. It's not the problem itself. There is a deeper reason why you are losing focus. So let me ask you. Imagine an overheating car. You're driving, and then all of a sudden, your car suddenly overheated. So what will you do? Probably just to get to your destination, you will put some coolant or water. But you will observe that, if you do that, it will go to overheat mode again. So what will you do? To get rid of the overheating, you have your car fixed in a car shop and probably change the change the water pump or have it repaired. So that is getting into the root cause of the problem. Now, the fact is, going back to focus and concentration, if you're having focus, attention, concentration issues, you need to check the source, the brain. You see, when you attend trainings, when you get mentors, when you try to study from YouTube or internet, those things are softwares. Softwares. and your brain is hardware. So if the brain, the hardware, is not fit enough, is not conditioned enough to process the software, transformation may not happen. So I have created a three-step process that I would like to share with you tonight. But first, let's go to the main cause, to the root cause of these focus issues, the brain. Let's talk about some basic facts about the brain. So why should you care about the brain? Well, because your beautiful, chemically, electrically complex brains run the world. The weight of the brain is approximately between 2 to 5 pounds, depending on the weight of the person. And it is 2% of the total body weight. So 2% of the total body weight, that's the weight of the brain. And it's interesting to know that it consumes 20% of the total energy produced by the body. Imagine a 2%, a 2% weight of an or a 2% weight consuming 20% of the total energy produced. And another thing is, the brain is 80 to 90% water, making it the most hydrated organ in the body. And another interesting numbers, our brain is composed of 100 billion neurons. It's like we have a Milky Way in our brain. So the universe has 100 billion stars. Our brain has 100 billion neurons. And the speed of how these neurons connect, they run at a speed of 200 miles per hour, ready to challenge the speed of a Formula One race car. So I'm gonna make it very simple for you. So how do you keep the brain healthy? Three things. It must be properly hydrated, so there must be proper brain hydration. Number two, there must be adequate brain blood flow or blood perfusion in the brain. And then number three, there must be consistent growth in new brain cells. Okay, I'll talk a bit about the growth of new brain cells. Our brain matures at an age of 25. So when you reach 25, our brain is already matured. And at that age, we start to lose some neurons. So imagine we have 100 billion neurons and we are losing 85,000 neurons per day. You might say that is not big, small. Yes, but if you're going to spread it throughout the weeks, the months, and years, that could be significant. So there is a way to grow new brain cells. So again, to keep it simple, proper hydration, adequate blood flow, and consistent growth of new brain cells. So I would like to introduce to you a three-step process on how you can keep your brain fit. So it is eat, move, and think differently. So for this time, I'm going to talk about eat or how we consume food. So let's talk about eat, which is step one. So first and foremost, you are what you eat. And there is a direct connection between our brain and our gut. This is why they call the gut. This is why the gut is called the secondary brain or the enteric nervous system. Having said that, what we eat gets to our brain and affects our brain. Let me share with you an example. Do you wake up in the morning energized? Like you're inspired. You have a 9 o'clock meeting, you're presenting something, and you are so inspired, motivated, and energized. And then breakfast came. Breakfast time. You had donuts, pancakes, cheesecake. So the pancake is with maple syrup. Then you have maybe your hot chocolate. And then what happens afterwards? After breakfast, maybe you will feel energized for 20, 30 minutes. And then after that, what happens? You see, our body is the most chemically complex process. Our brain, we have a lot of chemical reactions going by the simple eating of food or processed sugar. So what happens? What happens when we eat those processed sugar? You see, processed sugar messes up with our brain. Why? Let me talk about the dopamine neurotransmitter. So the dopamine neurotransmitter is the chemical messenger to the brain, and it is the celebration neurotransmitter. So, when we consume sugar, it will signal to the brain that, hey, we have sugar. By the way, sugar, we need sugar to energize the brain. Okay, we need sugar, definitely. It's not that we don't need sugar, we really need sugar. But processed sugar is a different thing. So the dopamine will signal to the brain that you have consumed processed sugar. And guess what? After 30 minutes, the effect of processed sugar will soon disappear. It's going to be gone. And what will dopamine tell your brain? It will say, hey, it felt good. Let's have some more. But you're not going to eat that same thing, right? Until probably lunch. So what's going to happen is all the inspiration, all the motivation, all the energy will go down. Can you relate to this? I've been there and I can so feel the difference. So the question would be, so if processed sugar messes up our brain, so what can we do? So again, we need sugar, but we need another type of sugar, which is the natural source. And we can get that from fruits and vegetables. These are sources of complex carbohydrates and good for the brain. It is that simple. So from the food we eat, let's go to water. This is something interesting. Once your body lost 1 to 2% of the water content, it will signal thirst. Okay? 1 to 2%, your brain will get the signal that you are thirsty. But at 1% loss is equivalent to 5% decrease in cognition. Can you imagine that? If you're dehydrated by 1%, your cognition decreased by 5%. What if it's 4% or 10% dehydration? Maybe you are an author, you're trying to do some report. Imagine if you are dehydrated, what happens to the report? What happens to the book you're writing? So, drinking water is really very important. And do you know that 2 out of 3 people are chronically dehydrated? That means people drinking less than a liter of water per day. So we tend to lose 80 ounces of water per day. So if we drink less than that, we are going to be really dehydrated. So the next question is, okay, we got the point. So how much water should we drink? Let me share with you a simple formula. And well, it's not really 8 glasses of water per day, but it's something close to that. It has something to do with your body weight. So all you have to do is get your body weight and divide it by 2. So for example, a 160-pound human has to consume 80 ounces of water or approximately 2.3 liters of water per day. Or to translate it into glasses, that's 10 8-ounce glasses of water per day, scattered throughout the day. You don't drink them in one drinking. That's not the way to make the brain healthy. But just a word of caution. If you have some medical issues concerning consumption of water, or if you have some kidney problems or renal issues, my suggestion is please consult with your primary care physician first before trying out this simple formula. So, in order to inspire you more to consume water, it always helps to understand why it's so important for the brain and body. Consuming water supports the electrical activity of our brain. You see, our brain is an electrical circuit. So it transmits electricity from one neuron to another. And this has something to do with how we consume water. Second, the brain cannot store water. Remember, I told you don't drink it in one drinking, it has to be scattered throughout the day because the brain cannot store water. So you must consume water continually throughout the day. Take note. And chronic dehydration shrinks the brain. If you are chronically dehydrated, your brain will shrink. And nobody wants a small brain. And last but not the least, it removes toxins from the blood, from the pollution that we got, the radiation, the heavy metals, the pesticides. Drinking water will remove the toxins from the blood. So, for the past few minutes, I talked about how we should consume food and how we should drink water. And I don't want to overwhelm you with so much information. So, I would probably be stopping from uh, to this point and would probably welcome some questions if you might have. So, by the way, at the end of this training, please, if you stay until the end of the training, I'm going to give something that you can probably make use of. I'm sure you will definitely make use of this. It's a membership training that I will be sharing to you, and I will talk to you about that later. But for now, if you have some questions, I would like to entertain them.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much once again, Paul, for sharing with us that informative talk about the keeping our focus and how we can keep our brain focused, no? So we have some questions with us here. Okay, so let me start with the first question. You talk about focus.
Yes.
Now, is there such thing as multitasking?
All right. Multitasking. Good. Great question. Uh, well, multitasking is like you're doing two things at the same time.
Focus and how we can keep our brain focused, no? So we have some questions with us here. Okay, so let me start with the first question. You talk about focus.
Yes.
Now, is there such thing as multitasking?
All right. Multitasking. Good. Great question. Uh, well, multitasking is like you're doing two things at the same time, right? And if you are chasing two rabbits at the same time, you will never catch either of them. You will never catch anyone. So it's like I'm saying that, you cannot serve two masters at the same time. But it doesn't mean it is not possible. There are a few people who are good in doing multitasking, and I would say mostly female. Really, women are better in multitasking compared to men. But I read it somewhere that only 2.5 of the people are effective in doing multitasking. So
Mhm.
sometimes we are think we are multitasking, but we are not actually doing it. There's a big difference between multitasking and doing one task at a time with rapid succession. So there's a difference between you do things at the same time, that's multitasking. But if you do things like you type in a computer and then you answer the phone, then you
Mm,
go back to the computer again, that's not multitasking. You're just shifting tasks.
yeah.
So one good question is, are you multitasking really, or you just shifting tasks from one task to another?
Mm,
So again, it is possible. There is such a thing, but again, only 2.5 of the population in the world can really do multitasking, but it can be done. I'm not
yeah.
saying it can't.
Actually notice that if you're doing a lot of things, no, you're prone to error. Eh. Like
Right.
one time you'll be answering an email and then you'll be taking a call and then sometimes yung makikita mo mali yung na-send mo or may kulang sa email mo. So you get to be prone to error. So
Exactly.
you really need to have that
Yes.
focus mindset, no, when you're doing certain tasks.
Yes. Because distractions. It's
Mm,
really a big deal. When you're distracted, as I said, uh, it takes 24 minutes. Imagine that time to get back. While you're starting, right? In 1 minute, 2 minutes, you're getting back there. Assuming that you won't get distracted. But if you got distracted again, you need to start from zero again and then 24 minutes. So imagine the time that it wastes if
mm,
you're distracted, if you got distracted by anything.
yeah, agree. So given that, no, that we really need to focus on one task after the other, what How can we boost our focus and not be disturbed by any environmental elements to disrupt our productivity?
Okay. Um, to be focused, well, number one, again, I talked about the brain earlier, the hardware.
Mhm.
So it's actually the first step before we do other things like mindset and everything. Um, it has to be fit. It has to be conditioned. So a simple thing to do is, well, have enough water every day. I shared with you a simple formula. If you're gonna try it for a week and see how it transforms you, the difference that it will make to you. And secondly is avoid processed sugar. That processed sugar consumption, I call that personally, I call it the new substance abuse. It's like you're being drugged by it because true enough, sugar is addictive. Processed sugar is addictive. So please, by all means, you know, a lot of people are doing sugar rush. Most people, when they are depressed, they tend to eat chocolate, all
Please.
sweet stuff, right?
Yes.
And only to find out that after the effect is gone, it will be good for like 30 minutes. And then after that, you will go back to your depressed state because it makes you more depressed. So,
Mhm.
really, avoiding processed sugar is one big deal.
Mhm.
And another way, well, meditation, it's not really that complicated. Because when you meditate, it doesn't have to be long. I actually meditate in the morning before doing anything for 5 minutes. 5 minutes before doing anything in the morning, just stay there, quiet time. Just focus on your breathing, nothing more. And it puts you in a state when you are in a complete relaxed state. And when you're relaxed, you are in a better, you're in a much better state to think, to make decisions, and make a productive day. So it helps a lot. So three things, maybe something to work on: right amount of water, avoid processed sugar, and meditation. And number four is maybe, well, this is the software part. You have to plan your day. What is your one thing for today? Because one way to be focused is, what is your one thing for today? What is that one thing that you should accomplish today? That if you accomplish that, all the other things are gonna follow because there's a saying that you must eat the frog first. I'm not quite sure if that's the exact thing, but that means you have to do the most difficult task first. So what's that one thing? And when you plan your day ahead, it's gonna make a big difference. You write it because once it's written, it gets done. You just don't organize it in your brain.
Mm.
So those things, just try it. I'm sure. Try one strategy. Maybe just drinking water or just meditation. You know, Try
Actually,
it, implement.
I agree to that. No, I mean, doing meditation every day really helped me personally on focusing on a task and parang somehow you're rewiring also your brain on what output you want to have for a certain day, right?
Right, right.
It-
You're getting it. And
Mhm.
remember, I talk about new brain cells, production of new brain cells. When you meditate, you are producing more new brain neurons in the brain. So how
Mm.
is that for a reward? You were relaxed and then you are producing more new brain neurons in the brain. So a lot of good things about meditation.
So you talk about water to help the brain, no, be hydrated. So for example, can drinking coffee also aid in jump starting a day and keeping a focused mind?
Yes, I'd like to talk about that. Coffee. I'd like to make a distinction. First, there's a distinction between the three-in-one coffee that we drink and the brewed coffee that we drink. Okay, the first one, the three-in-one coffee. Well, they both have caffeine, definitely, but the three-in-one coffee that's loaded with lots of sugar, processed sugar. So as much as possible, avoid it or reduce it. Not You can't eliminate it. But brewed coffee is a little better. But I'm not saying that it has good benefits for the brain, because no matter what type of coffee, it is still a stimulant. It is still, as coffee is a stimulant. It's a stimulant that makes people feel jittery. Like, you know the expression na, huwag kang iinom ng kape masyado. Baka
Uh-huh.
nervising ka. There's, that's the basis. Because it makes you feel jittery. It makes you feel nervous when you drink coffee. Because that's a stimulant.
Uh,
So, I used to be so guilty with drinking coffee. I used to drink 6 cups of coffee a
wow.
day. Yes. And, you know, the difference now, before, well, I still drink coffee like 1 cup a day in the morning, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't drink more than 2 cups in a day
Mm-hmm.
because I really can feel the difference in, what happens. It makes, it's like it disturbs your focus and concentration in a way. But before, I used to think that, hey, this is good for concentration. But now really it is not. A good substitute will be green tea. That's a better substitute. Yes,
Correct.
it has a better effect, and more than that, it has no caffeine. Most of the green teas that we drink. And another suggestion: if you're having some sleeping problems,
Mm-hmm.
please don't drink coffee after 3 o'clock in the afternoon,
Oh.
because the coffee, any type of coffee, it
Mm-hmm.
will, well, the effect of that will be gone in 8 hours. So if you drink at 3 o'clock, so most probably the effect of the coffee will be gone by 11 p.m., which will probably disrupt your sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing about coffee. I apologize for all the coffee drinkers out there. I know they want to debate on this issue, but that's some things about the coffee that and how it affects the brain.
Yeah, well, this is something really helpful for us, no? I mean, learning these things that not syempre lahat ng sobra masama. And drinking too much coffee can also affect our productivity and
Right.
even our body system. So thank you for sharing with us that green tea is a good alternative because it's not caffeine infused, no?
Mhm.
Okay. So now, Paul, we have a question from our Facebook audience. Okay.
Mhm.
Do you have any suggestions or exercise to boost your memory?
Uh, well, to boost your memory. Okay. Memory has something to do with learning as well,
Mm,
right? So how we retain information, it has
yes.
something to do with memory. And again, I would like to connect it with how our brain functions. So a properly working brain will have a far better memory as compared to somebody which has, a really challenged um, brain performance. So like if your brain is not healthy, you will probably have a hard time memorizing things or retaining information. So it goes back to your brain health. And again, I'm I've been talking about water a lot, but again, it really helps. Water really helps a lot with memory, with concentration, and with focus. Because if going back to that 1% decrease in 1% dehydration, that's equivalent to 5% decrease in cognition, right? And cognition, in a way, has something to do with memory as well. So just try to drink water. Try that. There are more exercises to really boost focus, and um, there is a blueprint actually that I made on how to do that. And well, I will be sharing that later. There is something I would like. There's a surprise that I have for all your listeners, something that they can learn from. It's not just more than the blueprint to boost your brain focus, to boost your memory. There is more to that that I would like to share later.
Okay. Thank you, Paul. Well, kasi like parang sinasabi mo, you're saying as if the brain is the hardware and the software, like parang training it to have a good memory recall or practice your brain cells, no? Uh, like, is it tama ba na merong mga, they use mnemonics to, kasi depende sa learning, ano mo yan eh,
Mhm.
learning process mo, di ba?
Yes.
Merong mga, the learners that are kinesthetic
Yes.
learners,
Hmm.
merong auditory, and merong, what's the other one? Kinesthetic, auditory, and
Visual.
visual. Yes, yes.
Visual. Yes.
Kasi like for myself, ako talaga old school ako. Kinesthetic learner ako. That's how I programmed my brain. I have to write it for
Yes.
me to remember, and I have to mention it. So para
Yes.
as I,
You have to be involved in it,
yes,
right?
yes.
Mhm.
You have to feel it, touch it. That's why I know that I'm a kinesthetic learner.
Right.
So
Yes, you have to feel. Yes. For you to, yes, for you, you have to really have to touch it, right? You don't just, if I just tell it to you that, this thing, it feels good when you touch it, but you won't believe me, right? You will tell me, no, I have to touch it. I have to feel it. It's those are ways of learning, right? Yes.
mm,
And, imagine if you know your learning style and you really have a perfectly working brain, how much more will it improve that learning style,
true.
right? Mhm.
Agree. So important that you know your learning style,
Yes,
that you can have
exactly.
appropriate ways on how to train your brain properly. Okay. Now going to learning, no? Is there any helpful exercise for you to do to
In
keep
terms
a
of,
focused mind? I mean, physically or ano,
mm,
any
okay,
physical exercise? Because I noticed in the three-step process, there's eat, move, and think. So
yes,
in terms of movement, is there a way that we can enhance our focus?
okay. Any type of exercise will improve your brain. Okay, any type. But well, again, there was another study. It's a case study. I won't go to the details of that. But the the conclusion with that study is uh, if you do engage in like cardiovascular exercise, running, biking, walking, swimming,
Mm,
you improve brain cells. You grow more new neurons in the brain. And again, the more neurons that you have in the brain, the better your brain functions, right? But more than that is, well, I this is a personal experience. I'm a runner. I've been jogging and running, and every time there is something that I am trying to solve or trying to think of, every time I jog, most of the time the answer will come there. It will
mhm,
just pop out there. Like,
mm,
you're running, you're concentrating on something, there's the road, and then, you're breathing. And then all of a sudden you will have that epiphany that, oh, yes, this is a good solution to my problem. You see, well, maybe because it's the brain is working, the brain is refreshed. When you're running, you're thinking a lot of different things. You're multitasking when you're running. You're navigating, left and right. You're thinking, and then you are coordinating your steps, right? You're breathing as well. So there are a lot more things that you are doing. But in spite of that, there will suddenly come a point that and then you also think of something. And during those times, that you will just think out of nowhere this idea, and it happens in running. So, I encourage you guys run, but of course with caution. It's not too much, not that safe to really go out. So wear the mask, wear the proper safety gears, but have some fresh air.
mm.
Let's have some fresh air. It really helps. It really helps.
I agree to that. No, I remember when I was in college during my college days. So that's years ago. I would walk. I would walk, and then suddenly an idea would come in. No,
Yes.
so somehow it helps me refresh or helps me solve some certain problems or provide it helps me provide answers to my problems. No, well, go since we are in that particular question, Paul. Is there a way that we can refocus when we are bothered emotionally?
Okay. If you're
Aside from
bothered,
running or walking, any other means to go back?
um, okay, maybe this is more of a personal thing that I do. If I'm like bothered emotionally, if I'm emotionally bothered in a positive way, well, that's good, right? You're bothered because there's something exciting that you're looking forward maybe tomorrow or the next day. So that is in a way better than if you're bothered with something negative, right? So if otherwise, well, I have to go to my go-to activity, which is meditation. Not long, just 5 minutes will do. Just 5 minutes. I call it sometimes quiet time. It's quiet time. Some people don't call it meditation because they think this is very technical. It's very complicated. It's not really.
Yes.
It's a matter of closing your eyes, focusing on your breathing, and then that's it.
Mhm.
it may it might sound complicated when you start. Well, yes, nothing is hard when you start something, right? But eventually, you will get there. If you close your eyes, just focus on your breathing, you're gonna be fine, you're gonna feel better. But sometimes, it's so much stressful. You have It bothers you more even if you meditated. So that's the time when I get to walk outside. I tell myself, take a walk, go outside, have some fresh air. Because if you try to think it over, if you're bothered with something, whether well emotionally or what any problem, if that really bothers you, you have to stop. You have to do something else, and then when you're relaxed, because when you're stressed, in your perception is different. You
No,
think differently, right? When you're stressed, don't make decisions. You're gonna regret it. When you're very stressed, don't even talk too much because you might say the things that you don't want to say and probably regret it afterwards, right?
yeah.
So really, it's an internal battle. It's something that you you have to deal with by yourself. You can talk to friends, right? But at the end of the day, it's going to be you and you, but you, and only one but you who has to deal with it.
Kaya nga sabi nila, kalma lang, keep calm pagka
Yes,
we are tested with adversities, right? Tsaka
right,
sabi nga ni Taylor Swift, shake it off. So,
right.
let go of those negative emotions, di ba? Even if we are in a positively COVID environment,
Right,
yes.
right.
Try to
You
keep
can't do anything about it. And I know someone. I saw you doing this. I know someone who literally does that.
Mm,
It's really her way of, "Hey, get away, get away from me." Literally doing that, and she said it makes her feel better.
yes, yes. Agree. Well, I'm down to my last question, Paul. Okay, I hope you can also share with us your thoughts on this. Can you help us understand the intuitive instincts, especially for women? Does it does this anything to do with a focused mind? Yung parang
Okay.
parang mental telepathy ka, like 'di ba yung parang naisip kita, tatawagan kita, oy mag-iingat ka kasi baka diyan sa lugar na yan, blah, blah, blah. And
Mm-hmm,
then,
mm-hmm.
yung, yung parang merong intuition
Yes.
or the
Okay.
mental telepathy, naisip kita ngayon.
Mm-hmm.
And you will give that warning or something like that. Does it has anything to do with having a focused brain? Or are you gifted or anything
Mm-hmm.
like
Um, I cannot explain in full details the thing about that question, but it happens. True.
mm,
I have that experience. Like all of a sudden, you thought of somebody, and then you called him, her, hi, hello, and then that guy or girl will tell you, naisip din kita eh. Naisip din kita the other day, something like that. And it happens. Well, um, again, this is my 2 cents, my own idea about it. Um, I think it's the energy that is all around us that radiates out of us. It has something to do with that. But intuition means knowing or understanding something without reason or proof, right? That's the intuition. And when we uh, do intuitive things, when we use intuition with something, uh, we are actually probably accessing our subconscious mind, which is the part of the part of us that has to do with learning and behavior, and it has something to do with the memory, um, memory that we have, past memories from childhood, from from the experiences that we had. So that is something to do with focus. Well, it has something to do probably with brain health, right? If you're like, again, if you have a fit working brain, and when you make intuitive decisions, if that's how you call it, uh, you are accessing your subconscious mind. And well, again, we have different experiences. You have mine, I have mine, you have yours. But at the end of the day, it's your brain that's gonna help you through it.
Mhm.
Gonna help you through it. And having a healthier brain has a far better chance of making the right decisions as compared to having a not healthy brain. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
Mm. Yeah, thank you, Paul. Meron pa akong pahabol na tanong. Pwede ko bang matanong? How
Go
about
ahead.
sleep?
Can you say
Sleeping.
again?
How about sleep
Oh, sleep. Mhm.
in helping you with a focused brain?
Oh,
The
it
fo-
has a lot to do with it. Okay, in the training that we did, I'm going to share with that later. Sleep is one of the principles that we are teaching, because it doesn't matter how much number of hours that you sleep. You know, you might be sleeping for 8 hours, but if you're tossing left and right, you're not having some deep sleep.
Mhm.
It's not healthy. It's not helping. As compared to maybe somebody slept for 4 hours, but somebody slept like, from the time he slept, hindi na gumalaw, paggising, yun na ulit. So deep sleep is very important. So we should be counting deep sleeps.
Deep.
And I have a watch that I wear to measure my deep sleep. And it varies for me. So sometimes an 8 hour sleep for me, I have 3 hours of deep sleep, 4 hours, 5 hours of light sleep. But we should be improving more on the deep sleep. So it's the deep sleep that matters. And if you're properly rested, because the brain works out when we sleep.
Mhm.
When you're sleeping, the brain is working out. So it's removing the toxins, working out, storing your short-term memory to your long-term memory. So things like that. It happens when you sleep. So if you don't sleep, you know what happens.
Circuit minsan yung utak eh. Pag
Right. Yes. Yeah.
yun, so
Short sleep, shorted brain.
aside from headache, di ba? Sometimes
Mhm.
nagiging forgetful ka na. So, it somehow affects the productivity of your brain as well. No?
Right.
Wow, wow, wow. I really learned a lot from this talk tonight, Paul. Thank you so much. So, how are we going
Ay,
to train the brain? So, the three-step process: eat, move, and think differently. Thank
mhm.
you. And then the
Anytime.
food for
Mhm.
our brain. Number one is water.
Right.
Avoid
Water
processed sugar. Also, to meditate will help.
yes,
Will help our
will
brain.
help a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
And having that software of training the brain on how to plan your day.
Right.
Wow. So
You
these
got
are my
everything. Congratulations.
key takeaways that I really took down notes. This is helpful on how you will do your plans on a daily basis and how you can boost that memory or your brain. Kasi merong mga nagka-Alzheimer's at an
Mhm.
early
Yes. Alzheimer's happened 15 to 20 years before. So when the symptoms show up, when the symptoms show up, that means there has been Alzheimer's 15, 20 years down the line. So you won't see any sign. Mhm. So you will just find it, oh, you have Alzheimer's, but the it happened 15, 20 years ago.
oh,
Right. So doing this brain, the small things that you do to improve your brain will really help a lot.
mm,
And at the end of the day, We are all gonna grow old, right? All we have are memories. So we don't want to lose that memory, the memory of loved ones, the memory of the childhood, the good childhood that you had, the memory of the winnings, right? You don't want to lose those memories. And that's what you lost when you have this Alzheimer's disease, right? Mhm.
Agree, agree. So it's really best that we keep our brain protected by boosting it, feeding it properly, giving a good rest. So with that, Paul, anything else that you would like to share to our online viewers?
Okay. I promise that I will be gifting your listeners. I really appreciate you inviting me to this interview. I really, really appreciate it. And I'm so grateful. So I'm going to give you something, everyone who's been listening here or who will be listening on maybe the next few days. And it's not just a book. It's not just an ebook. So I'm going to give something more. So I just created a membership site, and it has 7 modules. Actually, with all honesty, I am supposed to finish this by the end of the month, but I was able to finish it earlier, a week earlier, which is I just finished this earlier today. So I'm so excited to share this. And it has 7 modules, so I did not do it alone by myself. I have somebody, a colleague of mine from the US, from Colorado, who is also, a far better brain expert than I am. So we did this training, and we're gonna share this to you. So it's a 7 module training, and it's a membership site. It's not. It's comprised of videos and worksheets that you can use. And really, the value of this is $497 for the membership site. But I'm not here to sell you on anything. I'm not gonna ask anybody to buy it for $100 or $50. In fact, I'm just gonna give this for free. I would like to start with the goodwill with this training, and it's very timely that the interview happened now. And really, out of gratitude, I'm going to give this to anyone listening here. I'm gonna give it for free. So just go to gofitbrain.com. We're gonna guide you through the process. You just have to sign up, register, and then we're gonna give you the access to the training portal. And again, Your Brain Matters Academy. That's the name of the training. So if you go to that site now, you will see this. So Your Brain Health Portal access now. Just click on access your free membership, and you will be asked for your first name and email. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. And you're gonna have the access to all this training. So for all the viewers, all you guys, this is for you. You will find value from this training. And again, these are comprised of videos and worksheets, and the blueprint that I was talking about is there. So it's all there, all for you. So all you have to do is register. I'm gonna open this until the end of the month, so until March 31. So anyone who will be able to watch this training and go to gofitbrain.com will be able to access that. If you were able to register, that's all yours. That's for you. You can access it for a lifetime. No strings attached.
Wow.
So, yes. So at the end of the day, out of the many people in this planet, there's only one you. Only one you. Yes, you. Only one you. Only you. And that means you're holding a special place that only you can hold. You have a purpose. You only have to find it. And you have to fill in that purpose. You have to do it. So I hope you make use of this training, because when you focus on it, what you focus on expands. And we all have limited time. How much time do you have? We don't know. But one thing for sure, we all have a limited time here. So we make the most out of it. So how do you intend to use your remaining time? And it's all up to you. It's all up to you on how you focus on the things that matter to you. So with that, thank you very much. My gratitude to you. Thank you. Please grab that membership site, grab that training site. If you have some questions, please let me know. I'll be more than glad to help you with if you have any technical problems with that site. But thank you. I'm so grateful. Thank you very much, Moose and Core, all you guys. It's been a fun night with me, and I hope with the listeners and audience too.
Yes, yes, Paul. Actually, thank you so much. Let's give Paul a warm round of applause. So this is happening now live, and we are really thankful for this gift to our online viewers. So go to gofitbrain.com and get this for free until March 31 only.
Yes. If you
Right?
get it until March 31, you can access it
Mhm.
anytime for a lifetime. So you can access it.
Yeah, let's grab that opportunity for us to train our brain better and for us to work and have a more productive time while we are still alive because life is short and it became shorter because of COVID. Kaya naman, let's take this opportunity to have. Even my mom, she was, the background earlier. She was listening to it and she was like, maganda yan. Maganda yan. So let's take this chance and grab this once in a lifetime opportunity to train our brains better. So with
Yes.
that, once again, thank you, Paul, for gracing us with your presence and giving us
Thank
this
you.
gift. Right?
Thank you. Thank you.
So with that, I hope in the team replay, you can still post your questions and we will forward your questions to our speaker, Paul, that wherein he can still answer these interesting questions you have in mind. Okay. With that,
Yes.
we close this Q Cafe episode. Let's continue to focus our way to success. Good night.
Yeah. Night. Thank you.